Yeah, 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 yeah. Testing, testing, one, two. Testing, testing. Y'all hear me? Y'all hear me good? Team chill. Put your chill emojis like my man Dracula. Team chill if you're in the building. That's what I like to hear. Thank you, Tisha. Appreciate you. Shay Nove, what up? Juice Crew, salute. K Wash, I don't got the belt yet, bro. I'm probably gonna get it at Gnome, to be honest with you. So if you see me in a bunch of interviews with it, that's gonna be why. Appreciate y'all, man. Look, today we got to talk, man. It was a very interesting weekend in battle rap. Very interesting weekend on URL. Salute to all the people competing in Ultimate Madness. We know who our finalists are. We know who the headliner for Gnome is. Um, Before we get into all that, I have a very, very special guest. Goes by the name of London Jen. Jen, what's up?
What's up? London Jam was literally about to sip her tea, but owning my Britishness right now, just
Hey,
now.
talk to me, y'all. Everybody can hear Jen good, right?
Can you hear me? Am
I
I
know.
coming through okay?
Everybody's here for London Jen. I know. I know. I just want to make sure y'all can hear us both before we move forward. Thank you, Tisha. Tisha's on the ball, man. She's been so helpful already.
Shout out to you, Tisha. Thank you.
Dirt, what up, bro? All right, looks like we good. Everybody's hearing everybody, so let's get into it. This past weekend we had four battles. Um,
We
First of
did.
all, um, what was your initial reaction to the entire event? How did you feel about the entire event as a whole?
Entire event as a whole, it was a bit of a mixed bag. I think all the battles were clear. There were no debatable battles.
Mm,
Everybody who won got clear wins. There were I think the four tournament battles delivered, other than the unfortunate, mishap in Cortez's with Cortez. I think,
yeah.
and it's one of those things. But other than that, I think it definitely delivered in terms of a semi-final.
Hmm.
The two non-tournament battles. I think Ace and Oops really shone. I think both of them wanted to make a statement and
Mm.
they did that. I think perhaps Jims and Holmesy equally made statements, maybe ones that they didn't intend on making. But
Right.
overall, I enjoyed the event. It delivered what I expected, to be fair. I think it exceeded my expectations, actually, to be
Dope.
fair. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't really know what my expectations were. Um, as far as the tournament battles, I think we all generally expect good, competitive, you know, two-sided fights. Um, Although obviously Cortez had his stumbles, his mistakes. Um, I love the material that he actually got to rap.
Mm.
I would love to see how that battle looks if Cortez gets all three of his rounds out clean. Um, but with that said, man, I mean, we don't got to get into it right now, but yeah, I will say there were some performances that exceeded my expectations, and then some that didn't quite get there. Um, Before we get into it, battle by battle, please share the broadcast. If you haven't already, turn on your notifications. Get in the habit of coming to see what we got going, man. Every Monday, 7 p.m. Eastern. We get it going, man. Nothing but good conversations. Ace versus Jims, Jen.
Mm.
Talk to me. How did you feel?
So I felt this was a matchup going in, which was one of those why has this been thrown together? It looked
Yeah.
like a thrown together battle.
Mm-hmm.
It looked like a punishment battle for Ace Amin. And it
Yeah.
did, you
Mm-hmm.
know. Obviously he's had some chokes over on URL. He went over and battled John, you know, when URL didn't want the battle, then he's been stirring up all of this sort of new era hype and you know, he had to come back and battle Jims. That was almost like a punishment.
Yeah.
So um Ace Ace didn't really battle Jims. He battled the platform, he battled the stage, he battled his detractors. You know, he was battling to make a statement, and I think he surely did.
Yeah.
Jims, Jims is just so nice. I mean, he's just so nice. He's just, and as I said this earlier, we recapped the show earlier on Verified Source, and I
Salute
said,
to verified source, by the way.
thank you. Yeah, he when you're using words like nice to describe a battle, and like some of my favorite bars are involving Jims and his fatherhood and his you know, being a father and a responsible father. That's not what I look for in a battle.
Right.
And it you know, it was nice. It was nice. There was some stuff that, you know, that really wasn't great. And I guess we don't have to highlight that. The
Mm-hmm.
first round, I mean, he said it himself. He said it himself that the
Yeah.
first round wasn't, you know, a great one. I
Mm-hmm.
think the third had moments. There was some nice stuff in the second, but I think Ace was consistent throughout. His rapping ability was, you know, very much on show there. He came to, I think, yeah, make a statement, show that he does this. He's been doing this and he will keep doing this. I can do it on 2 weeks prep. You think I've got choking issues? You know, I can come have a clean, solid 3-round performance.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was. It was what it was. I
Yeah.
gave Ace every round. I didn't give Jims that third.
Yeah. You know, obviously, I think Ace is the winner in this battle. I think the conversation is it a 2-1? Is it a 3-0? The first two are crystal clear.
Mm.
Um, and I think the debate is the third. And I get it. You know what I'm saying? Like, if somebody gives Jims the third, I get it. It was his best round. It was the closest round. The message was heartfelt, and I appreciate all of that.
Mm.
Um, I called it the same. I had Ace 30,
Yeah.
um, and this Ace has so much potential. He has so
Mm.
much, like, just knowing Ace and knowing how long he's been doing it at this level. And this is similar to what I said about Chaos recently, but it's like Ace isn't polished yet. Like, Ace isn't, he hasn't figured it all out yet, and he's still able to compete with some of the best in the world. We just
Mm.
saw what he did with John on Bullpen,
Mm.
and he's not, he hasn't figured it out. You know, John is
Mm.
10, 11, 12 years in.
Yeah. Ace is literally 2 years in.
Yeah,
Literally 2 years in.
and he's figuring it out. He's figuring it
Mm.
out fast, and I don't know what an Ace that's been in battle rap for 10 years will look or
Mm.
sound like, but it could be scary.
Mm.
It could be really scary for a lot of us battlers if he continues on the path that he's on.
I would just say briefly as well, I think that's something that often gets completely overlooked. The fact that he first stepped in the ring, like literally, what was it, just over 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago or something.
Yeah.
I think because he gained such popularity and was so made such a big impact, especially outside of the ring with, you know, interviews and just being present and being a talking point, you forget that he is one of the least experienced battlers on any of those stages.
Right. 100%. You're on fire in the chat before we move on to the next battle asks, who should Ace battle next? Who would you like to see
Good
Ace battle
question.
for his next battle on URL?
I'd like to see the easy battle. They talked about in the face off. I'd like to see that. Maybe I could see a lot of with that sort of that class there. I could see a lot of good matchups
Yeah.
with Ace. There are a lot of matches there that would work. A step up as well. Let me think. On the spot now, who would I see Ace against if someone was to give him a test or a shot? I'm not sure. You answer that, Chilla, maybe.
I mean, I that's a bar. I mean, no. So I think Ace and Easy is a really good battle. I also would love to see Ace and Real Sick if we're just talking,
Yeah,
this
Make,
type of
yeah,
class, this new era.
a great battle.
If we're talking like somebody giving Ace a shot or like a battle with a vet, um, there's a few. I think I'm not mad at Ace and Suge. I'm not mad at Ace and Tay Rock. I'm not mad at Ace and probably would never happen. I think Ace and Twerk would be dope also.
Oh, that would be dope.
But
Oh,
there's
it could be,
could be
but it
dope.
could also, yeah.
Could be dope. There's definitely a lot of good matchups out there for Ace. I think with his style, he can battle bullies. I think he can battle rappers. So I think there's a lot of potential matchups out there for Ace. I definitely look forward to seeing who he has next, though, for sure.
Sure, yeah.
Oops versus Holmesy. I'll start this one. So on this very show, I think it was Friday, I was on here with Mickey Facts. We did our predictions. He thought it would be Holmesy 30. I thought it would be a close battle, but I had Holmesy with a 2-1 edge. And Oops came to play. I think a lot of people, I know myself, I instantly gave Oops the third when I heard about this battle. I do that with Oops almost every battle. I just expect his third to win. What I was unsure about was whether or not his first and second could also win a round from Holmesy. I think the first is the closest round. I think that one can go either way. I probably would edge Holmesy. I think the second went to Oops. I think the third went to Oops. I got Oops 2-1. Of the this battle and Ace and Jim's, Oops surprised me the most.
Yeah.
I would love to see Oops again on Caffeine. I don't care if it's a super fight. I don't care if it's what kind of card it is. I would love to see Oops again on Caffeine. I think he did really well. I think he performed really well. And I want to see URL continue to give Oops names in the same caliber as Holmesy.
Yeah, I'd agree. I think it's 2-1, possible 30. I think Oops obviously took that clearly. Like you said, that third round was an incredible third. And it was it was what he was saying, how he said it, and the aura with which he said it with, like on this Caffeine stage, all of those things sort of tied in, and just it Holmesy, I said this earlier, Holmesy for me, he just constantly seemed like he was going somewhere and didn't get there. He didn't really, I'm used to Holmesy sort of angling, building a narrative, having a nice, really creative punch at the end of it. He had these sort of, he didn't do that. It didn't seem to have much structure, and there wasn't many direct attacks or sort of angled attacks, apart from the obvious overused ones in the third, which Holmesy is a lot better than. So yeah, I don't think this was a good day at the office for Holmesy, but Oops certainly was. Like you said, I think he was the most impressive of the four. I think Ace has already showed in this format on this stage that he can deliver. The question with Ace is generally, is he going to be clean? Is he going to get all the way through? Is he going to end up shoulder barging someone because it's not going right or something?
Right.
But with Oops, there were genuine questions to answer. He hasn't performed on this stage before. Right. It's a different setting. So yeah, job amazingly well done.
Yeah, I agree. Oops. I think most of us are familiar with what Oops has done outside the ring, right? So much as a politician, an activist, an Academy Award, nominee. He's been signed to record deals. Oops is an incredible human being.
Yeah.
And, battle rap is just one of many areas of his where he excels. I know what Oops is capable of, and him and I talk all the time about him being underappreciated for his talent. He definitely has some battles where there's chokes and there's stumbles and he's sloppy and he's forgets around, and like he has his moments, as a lot of great battlers do. When he puts it all together, when he is as locked in and dialed in as he was against Holmesy, he's really tough to beat. He brings so much substance and so much realness that it's really tough to go up there with a bunch of fancy wordplay and win.
Yeah.
Like it's just a different type of feel with Oops. So I'm really glad that he performed to the best of his ability. He exceeded my expectations, and I'd like to think my expectations were higher than most people because of how well I know him. He was really good, and I can't say much more than I'm proud of him, and man, I just want to see him continue to do well and continue to get plates.
Thanks.
I want to see
onwards and upwards.
Who do you think is a good matchup for Oops next?
Let's see. He's got a battle to come out, hasn't he? That he battled Cuban in an app battle, I think, which hasn't come out yet.
Not out yet.
That will be coming out.
So he's got two on the way to the app.
Nice.
So Cuban, then Holmesy. Yeah. Who's a good?
Somebody else with some substance, definitely.
Jay?
That could be a good one. That could be a good one. And
that could be good.
Yeah, I'd like that. I think I'd like that match. But I like that one. I'm not great at pairing up potential matches.
I even think Oops and Ace could be interesting.
I
think Oops and Ace could be interesting.
That would be a conversation for sure.
A conversation.
You know what I'm saying? Sure. Like, yeah.
That could be really, really dope. Chaos. I like that suggestion in the chat. CJ. That's crazy.
Ace and Kid Chaos.
I think that would be a really good one.
Yeah, I saw. I think it was Champagne. You love Champagne asking have Ace and Holmesy battled, and I'm sure they did. And
Holmesy?
It was I think they battled, didn't they? I'm sure they battled.
I don't know.
I think
was it a band battle?
It was something like shout out Battle Rap Trap. It was a band, and I think Ace took it quite clearly from what I remember. I don't think it was a great Holmesy.
Trap, what up? Battle rap trap in the building.
Mm.
Um,
Salute, Henny.
who we got next? Tournament battles. So Gichi and Casey.
Mm.
I'll let you start this one off. What did you think about Gichi and Casey?
I mean, obviously, Gichi took the battle clearly. I am giving Casey the first round. I understand if others don't, and I think 30 is the most popular, or is the consensus. However, I do think Casey put on a great performance. She delivered 3 solid rounds. She had some, I think, stumbles, was it in the second or third, but that was, I think, due to Cottonmouth more than anything. It wasn't, that she was messing up on her material.
Yeah.
She showed why she deserved a spot in this semi-final. It's, what was that, the 4th or 5th battle that she's had in like 6 weeks. That's crazy. The standard that she's been able to put out. But when you go up against Gichi and this tournament Gichi, let's talk about tournament Gichi. Tournament Gichi is just like, he's different.
Man. Super different. Focused. He's very like, this is my thing. Like, I don't know that I would consider any of these Gichi performances to be like the best stuff that he's ever done, but he is so clearly locked in on every opponent. Everything is direct. Everything is tailored. It is, his content is creative. He's throwing jokes in.
Yeah.
Like, he's figured it out. Like, entirely figured it out. Obviously Gichi has put in so much work. He's been, moving very goatish for the past 2 or 3 years. You know what I'm saying? Like, even before I think he had it all figured out in the ring. I think the way he's carried himself, the consistency of his performances, Gichi is incredible at what he does at the level that he does it.
Yeah.
But I think more than ever now, he's got it, the in the ring stuff, like, figured out. Figured out. I don't think there's anybody on earth that can beat a focused Gichi clearly.
In this tournament setting, well, I guess we're going to see if maybe the only person who I would say maybe stands a chance is the person who's going to face him in the finals. So,
which brings us to Cortez and Rum. I mean, I won't spend too long on this. Cortez wasn't the Cortez that he's been all tournament. And I think Nitty gave us the best Nitty that we've seen all tournament. The fact that he's able to come up with this material the second time he's battled them, the fact he was able to come up with what he came up with for DNA a third time in the 2-on-2, as somebody who battled Real Deal 3 times with 3 3-minute rounds, let me tell you something. That is not easy. And not only is it not easy to do, it's not easy to outdo the times before.
Yeah.
The fact that Nitty is, in my opinion, with Drugs and with Cortez, was able to come up with 3 better rounds.
Yeah. And such recent battles as well. They're not battles from years by, they're recent.
And if I had to guess, I would say the prep times potentially for the tournament are shorter. I don't know how much time he had for Drugs or Cortez. I know they were like super fight battles, so it could have been 2 weeks. Could have been a quick turnaround time. But even still, the fact that he's able to outdo it with such little prep time is scary. And he doesn't have a lot of name flips that aren't like almost everything that he's saying is applying. It's direct.
That was it.
That was it. It's not just random lines. It's not just random bars. He's actually writing for
Yeah.
everyone in
Yeah.
a particular way in this, in this setting that I think is amazing. Um,
And
what
he's
we
doing it with ease. I was going to say it's
yeah
the ease as well with which he does it. Like you say, the flips are so creative and so out of left field. And like you say, the fact that he's just battled them all, and that he's had to do this back to back. This is his third battle in a row, and I think the best. Like he's gotten better every round. He's
hmm
exceeded his last performance and the previous battle with his current opponent. Like his those to be reaching the levels he's reaching and doing it so effortlessly is just like wow. It's so impressive. It's so impressive. And yeah, Cortez. It's such a. It really is just such a shame. It's you hate to say ifs, if this, if that. I don't think we didn't hear the material. We didn't get to get it out in the way that, but I don't think it would have been enough. But it certainly would have made the battle more competitive
yeah
because as soon as Cortez called time on that first round, without even hearing a bar from Nitty, it just looked like the writing was on the wall. Like, oh shit, Cortez, you've lost already.
yeah
Um,
yeah
and that it was, and then to see then Nitty's first round, and then yeah, Cortez. It was it was unfortunate. It's one of those things. I don't know if that was the prep. I don't know if that was. I don't know what that was. I didn't anticipate, and I think most people wouldn't have anticipated a choke from Cortez.
at all
Um, yeah.
at all
So I don't know. I don't know why his performance was so stumble filled.
yeah hard to say. I know that Cortez is a vet and he understood the magnitude
Mm.
of the situation. So I doubt that he would under prepped. I think it was the pressure. It could have just
Mm.
been. It could have just been. It's a lot on the line. It's 100K on the
Yeah.
line.
Yeah.
As vets, I get it. You're supposed to be able to just power through. Doesn't matter what's on the line. Doesn't matter if the battle's judged. Doesn't matter what the pressure is. But we're human. We're all human. We're all
Mm.
gonna show that sometimes. Unfortunately for Cortez, it happened right now. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Um, but like I said, I loved the material that Cortez got out.
Mm.
Really good. I just
Yeah.
wish he had been able to get it all to the masses and
Mm.
cleanly with his performance. You know what I'm saying? But um, big salute to Rum because I picked against him when he battled Drugs. I picked against him when he battled Cortez. And so I just gotta salute, man. I just gotta,
Yeah.
he proved me wrong twice in a row. I'm
Mm.
sure if I pick Gichi to win the tournament, he could prove me wrong again. You know what I'm saying? Salute to Nitty for showing up to the occasion
Mm.
and doing his damn thing. Because he was
Yeah.
incredible with Cortez. He was so good.
Yeah.
Um, and so we have our finals: Gichi Gotti versus Rub Nitty, the official headliner for Nome,
Mm.
June 12th. That card was just announced. Let me
It
go through the
was.
battles. Gichi versus Nitty. T-Rex versus Easy to Block Captain. B-Dot versus DNA. Av versus Jay the Nightwing. Danny Myers versus Real Sick. T-Top versus Swamp, finally. Mike P versus Lou Castro. JC versus Fawns. Loso versus Jerry West. And Chilla Jones versus Tay-Rock.
Mm.
First impression of the card.
First impression is very different to current impression. First impression was first impression was wow, 10 battles, surely this must be 2 days. And then it was I like we're gonna get some entertaining, exciting battles. I like most of the battlers on the card and think they're gonna you know, give great battles.
Mm-hmm.
That was first impression. And you lot are all ungrateful for not being happy with the card.
Mm.
Yeah.
Keep going.
Let me add
Tell me
in.
more. So what have you been hearing in terms of, you know, you don't have to mention anybody specific, obviously, but what are some of the sentiments that you've been hearing and seeing on social media in regards to the card, and why do you consider it to be ungrateful?
Well, I was okay, a lot. I hadn't seen much, but what I had seen was very, very loud and very, very, this isn't known. Where are the names? Just that sort of, and I knew there was a lot more of it than I had seen. I just hadn't been I hadn't been
Yeah.
present on social media a lot. And that was where my "you ungrateful," you know, little swines came from, because you know, I was just but that was coming from a total lack of understanding on my part.
Yeah.
So again, we talked about this earlier on the show, and it wasn't the battles aren't going to be, it wasn't the fact that I it's the nostalgia factor. It's the fact that Gnome is night of main events, whether you get great battles or not, because we get great battles now, week in, week out.
Mm.
We get great battles. Gnome doesn't have to deliver great battles. It has to deliver a nostalgia factor. You
Mm.
have to get those main event battles up there. And there are a couple of them which are, you know, which I think the consensus would be, yes, those are definitely main event battles too, at least three. But the rest of them, yeah, they'd be great headlining a super fight, or, you know, they could be done on any other sort of caffeine card, even a Summer Madness maybe, and they would be perfectly appropriate. But for Gnome is supposed to deliver. It's supposed to be a marquee event, which means something.
Yeah.
Night of main events means something, and it's not just about delivering you great battles. It's a stage to get to as well. You don't just get a Gnome. Not to say that any of the guys on the card currently don't deserve it, but classically, historically, those are not, that's not a card of night of main events. And that's the understanding that I was kind of lacking before. So now I totally agree, especially as it's 10 battles. You could have had 5 main event battles and an insane super fight card, or a couple of super fight cards, you know, stretch that out over, like, you could have satisfied the culture a little more if you gave them the main event battles that they want. And maybe they're not all the most entertaining battles. Maybe some of your favorites do go up there and underperform like they have been doing recently. Not all of them, but obviously some of your favorites have been going up there consistently underperforming. But if you want those names, if that's what, no, we have so many battles, we have so many cards, so many events. You could have afforded to, you know, give us a Gnome and put these battles somewhere else. So yeah, I get it now. And I am inclined to agree, even as someone without nostalgia for Gnome.
Before I talk about how I feel about the card, what are the battles on the card you consider to be gnome worthy, as you spoke of, and what battles, not to put you on the spot, what other battles can you think of would you have liked to have seen?
Okay, good questions. All right, so Gichi and Mum, I think is definitely a gnome battle. You and Tay-Rock for sure. B.DNA for sure. Those are all, I think, solid night of main events. Maybe you could also put in T-Top and Swamp because of the grudge factor, grudge match factor, yeah. And possibly even T-Rex and Easy, possibly, for a similar reason. And it's T-Rex, so he's, you know, a main event. But yeah, no, I'd say a solid Gichi Rum, and Tay Rock, B.DNA, and throw on T-Top and Swamp.
Yeah.
As for, okay, who would I want to see on there? I'd maybe like to see, I'd like to see K-Shine on there. So maybe K-Shine and Hollow.
K-Shine and
K-Shine
Hollow,
and
K-Shine
Hollow.
and Daylight.
Yeah. Obviously, Lux and Daylight. That's not on there. Who knows whether we'll ever get that. It's just an ongoing troll at this point.
Let me put it this way. This might be easier. What names would you have liked to have seen? That way you don't have to like just pair battles together, but like what names would you want to see on a, you know, like an event of this magnitude?
So those names, I would like to see those names.
K-Shine
and Hollow. I would like to see Lux and Daylight. Charlie Clips. I'd like to see Charlie Clips. I'd like to see maybe I mean, I'd like to see Surf, but not really. I would like to see the Surf of yesterday. You know, I'd like to see 3-round Surf or 2.5 round Surf at least. But and I guess, yeah, just for the nostalgia factor, give me any Surf. I'll complain about it afterwards. We'll all complain about it, but put Surf on night of main events if he, you know, wants to come out of retirement or anything. I don't necessarily want to see Verb up there, nostalgia or not. I don't really. Who else? Let me talk about it. Where's Iron?
Solomon, man.
Listen, I pine for Iron Solomon like we have a personal relationship. And then, like, literally the other day, I had to have a conversation with myself and tell myself, like, this man doesn't owe you anything, you know. Stop being so entitled. You know how many battles that he's. So I was thinking, like, why? Like, just come outside. I know, you know, just once, twice. Like, you could. I was like, calm down. Go and watch his old catalog.
It's the perfect era for Solomon right now. If he were active from March 2020 to now, he definitely could have been one of the MVPs of this era.
Perfect for him.
I agree fully. I would have loved to have seen Iron on Gnome. I would love to see Iron anywhere right now. Yeah, I think that's a really good name. That's a really good name. And I feel like there's so many matchups still. You know, he still has the Surf matchup, which never went down. I would still love to see, you know, Iron and Lux, which was talked about a lot back in the day. Iron and B Dot, I think, can be amazing. There's a lot of battles for Iron that in this era, like, give me B Dot and Iron on a roof somewhere, and I'm good with that. I'm good with that. That could be crazy. As far as the full card, I've never seen a Gnome with so many battles. 2 days, which is cool. I've only ever seen, I think it was Summer Madness. Any historians in the chat, correct me if I'm wrong. I think it was Summer Madness 4. But there was a Summer Madness that was a 2-day Summer Madness. There was a day 1 and then a day 2, I think, at the Gramercy. It was either Summer Madness 3 or 4. I feel like it was 4 because I'm thinking of, like, Head Ice and K-Shine happened there. Shotgun Suge and Sharon happened there. There was some other battles too. I think it was Danger Zone and KG maybe or something. But yeah. It's looking like Gnome is a 2-day event, chat, for all those who didn't know or hear. I mean, I'm assuming it is. It looks like it is from all the promotion that I'm seeing. But with that said, I agree with you in a sense that I feel like there are some battles on here, like Gichi and Nitty. That's good for Gnome. Me and Rock, good for Gnome. I'll take Rex and Easy for Gnome. I'll take B Dot and DNA also. I'm not necessarily mad even at Av and J. Um, but yeah, I mean, T Top and Swamp obviously has the storyline, so I'm good with that. Loso and Jerry, I'm not sure where it came from. I do think Loso deserves to be on Gnome, so I'm happy that he's there. I'm not saying Jerry doesn't.
Mm.
Um, maybe this was URL's way of getting two guys they felt like were deserving a look on this card. I'm for it, I guess. Let's see how the battle turns out. Um, JC and Fonz, Mike and Lou, Danny and Sick, I think can all be really good battles.
Agreed.
But if it were up to me, or if I were URL and I was gonna push this all as Gnome, then I would have like Gnome Day 2 be like rookies versus vets. Have your
It,
JC and Fonz, have your
yeah.
Mike P. Lou Castro, have your Danny and Sick, have your Av and J, and then I'll take T Top and Swamp as the headliner that day.
Mm.
And then you'll have Gichi and Nitty, Rex Easy, B Dot, DNA, me and Rock on day one.
I'd be surprised perhaps if they don't do it like that, because at least then you do get a card which feels like a gnome.
Yeah, and at least it's themed if you split it up that way. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like right now, it's like I'm happy that a lot of the new era is gonna get the chance to to add a gnome to their resume. It wasn't that it wasn't that easy in 2013 when I added gnome to my resume. For me and Magic to get a shot against DNA and Clips respectively, um, it took for me to have a classic with JC, a near classic with B Magic. It took for B Magic to have a classic with QP, a classic with John, a near classic with me. To be able to even get there, and even in that era or at that time, we were battling in front of 3,000 people. This gnome is going to be different, obviously, because even if there is a small crowd, could be 50 people, could be 100 people if Caffeine decides to up the ante a little bit, but it's not going to be 1,000. It's not going to be 500.
Yeah.
It may not even be 100. It'll be a slightly larger crowd than we probably saw last night or whenever it was, Saturday, but I don't think it's going to be a huge card. So, but with that said, I like the matchups. I'm
What's
not mad
that
at the
comment?
matchups.
Sorry, did you see that comment there? Gnome 11, more like Gnome Legacy Super Fight 11. Wow, that's hurtful.
Gnome Legacy Super Fight 11 is hilarious. Um, but yeah, so with that said, I do like the battles. I do think the battles are dope.
Mm, absolutely.
Yeah, I don't necessarily know that they all should have been on Gnome, but I'm interested to see how they turn out. If we get 5, 6, 7, 8 really good battles, that could be huge. It could be a big deal. I definitely am from the era of seeing a card with 6 battles and only one of them is worth rewatching.
Mm.
I've been there as a fan. It sucks. It sucks when you have great battles on paper that don't live up to the expectation.
Well, yeah.
You know what I mean? The hungry talent is on this card. I expect every new era guy to show up and show out.
Mm-hmm.
They picked vets that I feel like are consistent,
Yeah.
such as Mike, such as Danny, such as myself.
DNA B dot.
Yeah, I think Rex is the biggest question mark on this card.
Without a doubt.
In
Yeah.
terms of what Rex is going to show up, we don't know.
Mhm.
But you know, if we get a good Rex, we got a good chance at a classic event.
Yeah.
Really good
Yeah.
chance at a classic 2-day event. Um, but yeah. Uh, anything specific about any of these matchups interest you? I know you mentioned the T Top Swamp battle, and we know the history that that has. Are there any other matchups here that stand out to you for any reason?
I would have, I guess, yeah, T-Top and Swamp Rex and Easy for the reasons we kind of talked about
Rex and Easy
before.
has a nice storyline right now, also. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
I agree.
similar. And also just to see, to see Rex and to see again that if factor.
Yeah,
If if we get, a great
we'll get
Rex.
at least a round of it.
Well,
Like,
that's the thing.
yeah.
You're gonna get a round, but um Aloso and Jerry for the sort of question mark factor. That sort of stands out.
Yeah,
Um,
hard to know what to expect from that battle.
yeah,
So yeah, that could definitely make it a sleeper for sure.
but I mean, for the rest of the card, I'm really excited by. I do think we're gonna get a clutch of great battles,
Mm-hmm.
for sure. Like you said, all of the new class on here are gonna come and show out. Everyone on here pretty much is on here because they've been active and killing shit or putting on, like, even T Top, he hasn't, you could argue that he's had a run of losses. I say everyone, I'll get to someone who hasn't. T Top, you could argue, has had a run of losses. I've given him, I think, one of those battles at least, but he's had great battles. He's
Yeah.
had classics. He's had really debatable battles, or he's had wars. His opponent always brings their best. So I'm so glad he's on here. Looking forward to what he's got to bring. Av, similar thing. I think the talk about Av recently is that he can't get a plate. People are ducking, like no one wants to battle him. So yeah, and Jada Nightwing.
Mm.
This is going to be one of those heavy ones. I hope the stage is reinforced for this because they're going to need it. The force between these two.
Yeah.
Tay Rock, I think obviously this is a proper night of main events battle, a real, real known battle.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, Rock hasn't, like, you take out the daylight battle, which is almost like an anomaly at this point. He's not been performing. He's not been winning. He hasn't been having great battles either. So
Mm.
I don't know. That one's going to be interesting. I guess it's interesting as well because now I'm saying this to you and these are your opponents, so maybe I should move on to someone else. Daddy,
You know, you can say whatever you want about. I have to watch what I say about my opponent, so I'm
yeah.
you know, you can say whatever you want.
Well, no, I don't want to make it seem like as well like I'm just piling on for Chiller because you're sitting there, and if it was Rock sitting there, I'd be saying, "Oh, I don't know about Chiller. He's been a bit iffy of late." So yeah, Danny and Real Sick, I'm really, really, really excited for. Both
That's
of
gonna be
these guys
crazy.
are so
Battle of the night
dangerous.
potential on that one
It's written all over it. Yeah,
for sure.
definitely. I think the both of them are coming for war. Danny has obviously got another battle the week before, so but I don't know how much he's so flawless at the moment, battling so consistently and giving full performances, not just doing enough, not just coming and picking up a check. No, like on every league in every city, he's coming and giving you everything. And I don't know how much of a factor that's going to be in this battle. I know Real Sick hasn't battled for a minute. He had the 2-on-2 recently. He had Mike P a little while ago, but he's been sitting down writing. He's in writing mode
Mm-hmm.
for the past however many months. So I think, yeah, these two are gonna give us a real show.
Yeah. I agree. Absolutely agree. Like I said, I like a lot of the battles. I agree with Loso and Jerry being kind of like a question mark. It's hard to know
Mm,
what to expect from that battle, but if both those guys are on 10, it could be a really good
mm,
show.
really.
Um, T Top and Swamp for the storyline. Danny and Sick battle of the night potential. I think Mike and Lou is strangely gonna fly under the radar, but you know, I think if Lou has learned anything from the 2-on-2 that he had with Kayshawn, um, that could be a really good battle. That could be a really good battle.
Mm,
Lou Castro versus the Mike P we saw against Real Sick
boy, yeah,
could be incredible. It could be
yeah.
really good.
Again, energy levels on 100. Yeah, this one's going to be intense.
Yeah.
Definitely, definitely. And I do think he has learned and improved. Will be a more polished, the word you like, or
Yeah.
closer to, just how can you not
Yeah.
after an experience like that?
Yeah. Couple things I wanted to ask you,
Hmm.
and get your feedback on before we wrap it up. Um, we'll start here. I'm seeing a lot of talk about KCJ in the tournament
Hmm.
and not having a ton of support from female battle rap. Okay. First,
I've
it was,
seen that too.
first I think it was about Jazz and Official, and it was about them not being there to support. And then it became a larger conversation where it was like there were no female battle rappers
Hmm.
who, flew out to support or, you know, show unity
Hmm.
against the men or the guys or anything like that. Um, what are your thoughts? What are your feelings?
Hmm.
Should there have been a greater representation of female battle rap to support Casey? Is it being overblown? How do you feel about it?
I do think it's being a little overblown. I've got nuanced thoughts on this. I don't really have one solid opinion.
Yeah,
I do think nobody has to show up for anybody else.
agreed.
Um, I also do think it would have been amazing to have some of the female battle rappers who regularly show up to events show up to this one.
Yeah.
I do think it would have been nice for Casey to have perhaps more visible and more vocal support, male or female, in
Mm-hmm.
the building, but you can't control that.
At all. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely would have liked for there to be more of the women there. I don't know why they weren't. I don't know the politics or relationships behind the scene. I don't know what goes on, but it just would have been really nice to have that. She was not only, yeah, to be one of the final four in a tournament like this is an amazing achievement, but to be a woman, to do that as a woman is a special thing. So
Very.
I would have liked to, it would have been really nice to see some women there supporting. I think Henny said there was some women there supporting, but they weren't necessarily the faces that you see, like I say, fairly regularly at these events. I don't know people's schedules, relationships, politics.
Right.
There may be more to it than meets the eye. I have no idea. But also, I mean, it was something that Gichi mentioned in his round. I guess he knew Jazz and Official weren't going to be there. The Bardashians weren't going to be there.
Mm-hmm.
Mentioned it in the battle. It was mentioned, I think, in the comments as a result. So it is a talking point, and because we know them to be the Bardashians, and I think it always has been a question: how much do they publicly? It's been a question, or on the timelines in social media, they ask how much do Jazz and O rate Casey? They don't support you, type thing. I don't know their business. That's not. I can't comment on that. But yeah,
Mm.
no one has to support anybody either. And Casey damn sure didn't need it. It would have been lovely to see it though.
Yeah. Um, I agree 100%. I was a part of a group called Writer's Block
Mm.
that had some of the best in the world um, in it. Everyone from Daylights to JC to Rum Nitty to B Magic to 40 Bars to Oops to Chef Trez, Danny Myers, Big Cannon, Danger Zone. And you would think with a group that big, you would always see one or two people in your corner.
Mm.
Um, I hate to break it to the fans of battle rap, but most of our real lives do not revolve around battle rap. And so I definitely can understand, thinking that Jazz and Official should be there. As far as female battle rap as a whole flying out, I'm not. Chill out with that. I'm not a fan of that narrative. And then as far as Jazz and Official, I understand it's a big opportunity, and it definitely would have been nice for them to have visibly been there supporting. At the end of the day, Casey has to rap, right? Like that's what we're here for. Like that's what matters. Like if Jazz and Official not being there affected Casey's ability to rap, then I would get it. I would get it, right? Like you guys being there could have made her raps better, and you weren't there, and she's supposed to be on your team, and I get that. But at the end of the day, if Casey doesn't have her shit memorized, it doesn't matter if they're there or not. If Casey is not prepared 100%, doesn't matter if Jazz and Official are there or not. Them being there would have been nice. I understand people wanting to see it, but is it that serious? Is it?
It never is.
It really
it
that
never
serious?
Is.
It's not to me. Not to me. But again, I was in writer's block where sometimes you would see 4 or 5 of us. Sometimes you would just see me. It just depends on the battle, depends when it is, depends on what people have going on. Some people have kids, some people have jobs, some people have... Our lives don't revolve around battle rap, man. It just doesn't. It just doesn't. And so, that's how I feel. It doesn't have to go much further than that. That's literally how I feel. And I understand that battle rap loves a good scandal, and we love a good piece of gossip, or this isn't it, man. It must be a slow Monday, because it's not that big a deal to me, to be honest.
But often in women's battle rap, frivolous things are lifted to the forefront because you've got to make there be bitchiness amongst the women, even if there isn't any.
Yeah.
You've got to make it seem like, oh, why aren't the girls all doing it for themselves? Like, oh, there must be something spicy here. They're not supporting her, you know.
Before I get into the last question, Casey versus Vixen, who you got?
I was not ready for that answer. Okay. I can't call it yet. I need to sit down, make some notes, really think about it, because the two of them are both... They bring different things to the game, and I'd have to really sit down and weigh them up. And obviously Casey is in the forefront of my mind right now, having seen her battle so frequently and consistently at one level. I have to think about it. I think it's a war though, and it's a battle that has to happen. I'm glad it hasn't happened already.
I think it's a main event battle.
Definitely.
Waiting to be booked with 2 veterans who have reasserted themselves on Caffeine. And I think now's the right time. Right now, I would edge Vixen.
Mm.
Um, I wouldn't bet money though.
Yeah.
It's whenever it happens, it's gonna be an amazing battle.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a really good battle. It's gonna be one of the better battles in female battle rap history, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully, that goes down this year. Um, and then lastly, before we get up out of here, Danny Myers tweeted out something a few hours ago in regards to the most consistent battle rappers in the world. He named Gichi, Rum, himself, A Ward, and myself. Went on to add JC and Ill Will,
Mm-hmm.
um, and DNA as people he considered to be the most consistent as of today in battle rap.
Yeah.
Agree or disagree? And are there some names that should also be on that list that Danny didn't mention?
I would roundly agree with it. I think, yeah, no, even I was thinking maybe not JC. Maybe there's one or two performances of JC in the last 18 months, 2 years, which haven't been the best showings, and he's had no shows and stuff. So maybe, yeah, I think you have to factor in someone not only the battles they do turn up to, but the battles that they're booked to turn up to and don't in a consistency argument.
Great
And
point.
I think that takes JC out of that equation for me.
Great point.
But the rest of them, I can't find strong arguments to disagree with.
Yeah. So there were a couple of battlers, Dre Dennis and
Mm-hmm.
Clone.
Mm-hmm.
Salute to Dre Dennis and Clone, who I noticed basically said that they should have been included on that list. I'm gonna say how I feel about that in a moment, but what are your thoughts on Dre Dennis and Clone being added to that list?
My thoughts would be so Danny's list is very URL centric,
Yeah.
and I think there's a reason for that. It's URL centric plus A Ward, and as soon as you see A Ward's name, as soon as you make that thought or that connection, you realize the only reason that A Ward is there is because of impact. Yes, he may battle on similar leagues. He may not have the biggest platform to, the biggest platform to in the world, or the most popular, whatever. But he makes an impact. He not only does he have amazing performances, no matter where he goes, no matter what league that he battles on, and he does it so frequently. He's also so active outside of the ring as well. He's so active on social media. The fact that he's not on URL is a talking point in and of itself. He's someone we talk about him almost every day on the show because there is always A Ward news. He is always in a back and forth with someone on Twitter, which is always hilarious. He is great on Twitter. Like he's got impact. I would say Clone, for me, new fan in terms of, last few years. I wasn't familiar at all with Clone until King of the Dot tournament. He made an impression on me, but and I've seen, I think a couple of things since. Did he battle on Bullpen? I can't remember, but that's the point. Like I can't. And Dre Dennis as well. I think Dre Dennis is someone who is definitely consistent, definitely battled maybe, on some of the bigger stages, but impact, again, he doesn't have the impact that an A Ward has. Those are, what I think about those names being on there.
Yeah, I agree. It definitely seems to be a URL centric list plus A Ward. A Ward we've seen on, at least King of the Dot and RBE, if
Mm-hmm.
not URL with some, some pretty decent names. Real Deal, DNA, um, Sharon, Ilmac, Danny Myers, Ill Will, and these aren't just small league battles
Yeah.
that are great battles because both people
Mm-hmm.
came out to play. These are on King of the Dot cards, RBE cards, major
Yeah.
cards, big cards,
Yeah.
big enough deals to make an impact off of URL, which is very difficult to do, but he does that
Yeah.
consistently.
Yeah.
Um, that's where I would say maybe the list is kind of above Dre Dennis and Clone in that regard. Um, with that said, I do think Dre Dennis and Clone are extremely talented. I do think they are also consistent. I just think the fact that they haven't shown that on the biggest stages and not just URL, but even your RBEs and your King of the
Mm.
Dots as recently, as consistently, as much as everybody else on this list that Danny put together. I think that's the biggest reason why he didn't put them on the list, although he may also acknowledge their consistency and talent level. I think the list is a great list as it is. I think it's got the names that should be on there. Um, and yeah, salute to Danny for mentioning me and everybody else included. Everybody he named, I feel like, you know, um, and I probably would have added. I would have added B dot, although I understand why he's maybe not on the list because of maybe our battle, but overall I think B dot is extremely
Mm.
especially in this era, win lose or draw, B dot is going to give you a show. He's going to give you 100%. So I wouldn't have minded if B dot were on the list, and I
I
understand.
heard B dot. I assumed he was on there. I get you didn't say it, but I just assumed he was in there.
Yeah, yeah,
So yeah, I
he's
would
one
have
of those
added
names
him.
that you
Yeah.
would think, especially in this era,
Mm.
um, would have been there. I think Real Sick is putting himself on that list with his
Mm.
performances. I think Fonz is putting himself on that list with his performances. So salute to those guys too, who I think are on their way to making more lists like these in the future.
Sure.
Um, you guys have any questions for Jen before we get up out of here? Let's see, let's see, let's see. Team
Someone
show, what
just
we
said
got?
T Top should be. Oh, what did they say? T Top has been consistent.
Uh,
Perhaps you could say that, but again, we mentioned that earlier. He hasn't had those wins.
yeah, I'm not mad at people saying T Top has been consistent. I don't know that he's been more consistent than anybody else that we named. Um, but I at least do think he's been somewhat consistent for sure, and he's been in a
Mm.
lot of good battles. Him and Coffee, him and B Dot, him and Easy,
Yeah,
him and Jack Boy. I think are all win, lose or draw for T Top are all competitive, good battles. So
yeah,
I don't know that he should be on the list, but I understand. For anyone saying that, he's also consistent and maybe could argue for him to be there. Um, Anything else for us, y'all? Anything else for Chilla or Jen? Thank you, Shelly. Appreciate you. Doesn't look like we got many more questions. Uh, Jen, where can they find you for more
you
great,
can.
great content and opinions?
Okay, you can find me. I'm London Jen, all one word, three N's on the Jen. I'm on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter. I do a show Monday to Thursday on Caffeine and on YouTube on Battle Rap Trap, verified source.
Battle rap
With,
trap for the
that's
trappers.
it, with Deanna Henny-Man and Will Spiff. And I also do a regular Sunday show every couple of weeks with two other British women. It's battle rap. We get together, talk about it. That's Tea and Crumpets. And you can find that on YouTube as well, or links in my bio. Yeah, we just did an episode yesterday. Got 2 Queen of the Ring recaps on my channel. I just had a couple of sick interviews, dropping content constantly. I've got some more Queen of the Ring stuff coming up. Hopefully a Debo interview too coming shortly as well. So stay tuned.
Super dope, man.
Thank you, Chilla. Sorry, let me have my manners right and say thank you so much for bringing me on. This was a really, really good discussion. I had a lot of fun.
Yeah, thank you for pulling up. Yeah, everybody make sure, I mean, you guys know the rules. Turn on your notifications so you know every time we go live. I will be going live a couple more times this week, discussing a few different things. We'll get into the Chilla Jones versus Tay-Rock battle a little more in depth this week, so hit your notifications. Make sure you're tuned in for when we go on live. Follow me on Twitter at Chilla Jones, Instagram Chilla Jones, www.chillajones.com. Chill out. Episode 4 is a wrap. Peace, y'all.